Hello, hello! Welcome to Cities Skylines 2. It's finally out, and it's been out to some questionable reviews, to say the least. But nonetheless, I think there is a very, very good game somewhere here, and I'm hoping to find it today. Let's first choose a map. So I've played on a couple of these already. I kind of had to test cities out. I've also had to learn some basics because as it turns out, Cities 2 is a very different game from Cities 1. So I really enjoyed Mountain Village because it's a smaller map that's surrounded with these beautiful mountains. And in general, I just really love the layout of it. And so we are going to start out here. Gonna pick a North American theme because I'm a lot more familiar with it because I do live in North America. So we're gonna do that to start off. And let's pick a name for us. Sherborne. I kinda like the name Sherborne. I don't mind it. This speaks to me. We're gonna keep it as this. Well, with all that initial setup out of the way, let's get started with Cities Skylines 2. Alright, we just loaded in. Let's kind of survey the area. Looks very beautiful, first of all. Really love the mountains. I'm not the biggest fan of how... I mean, as you can see, the edge of the map is kind of like generated. You can't access these parts of the maps, but they just exist there for looks, and they don't really behave that well. But I'm hoping that a lot of this stuff is going to get fixed post-release, and we're going to have a much better game in a couple of months. It's kind of sad. That's the state of AAA gaming nowadays. You just kind of have to wait for games to get good months or years even after release, in case of games like Cyberpunk, for example. But hey, we work with what we have, and I think what we have here is decent at worst. Okay, I don't think Cities Skylines at launch is a horrible game, though a lot of people would probably disagree with me seeing the mostly negative review rating of this game on Steam. But for me, it plays in the decent 30 FPS. I don't really need more than 30 FPS in a game like this, so I'm hoping you enjoy this as well. But let's get started. The terrain tools in Cities 2 have been upgraded slightly. First of all, we don't have to deal with, you know, soil resources. That was super annoying in the first game. I always cheated because I didn't want to deal with it. But in this game, it's just literally a brush, which you can use with zero penalty. I honestly love it. So I love building on flat terrain, and from what I've seen, Cities 2 assets don't really behave well on super crazy terrain, so we are going to manage it by just kind of flattening the starting area here a bit. Now let's feather it a little bit so that we're not dealing with crazy looking terrain. I know in the future I want to stretch a road to go here, so we are going to make a little bit of a nice slope. So slope terrain tool. All of these tools are basically the same as they were in Cities. I'll just use them the same way we did in Cities 1. And once again, let's feather this stuff out. Perfect. Love it. Cool. So let's actually start with our first initial road. We're going to grab our 4-lane road. That's the only one that's available to us right now. Kind of refreshing, to be quite honest with you. Refreshing to start a new game with absolutely no mods, no custom assets, just vanilla, just plain vanilla Cities Skylines 2. Okay, let's turn on our beautiful contour line mode, and let's see. So I said 256 and another 256, I believe. The snapping tools in this game are unreal. Like, the amount of freedom you have to work with the roads is actually kind of wild. There's also a whole bunch of snapping options here, which we will go through in a second, but I wanted to establish kind of the starting point, which is this road. We are now going to make a nice big intersection. So a big road, 4-lane, is going to go this way, which we will establish like this. Zoning tiles in this game, from what I tested, are a bit finicky, so you have to be super precise. For example, if I start drawing this road here, it's going to break the zoning. So we have to make sure that both this and this line align in a perfect 90. And from this, we can actually go down. Let's grade this before we proceed, actually. Spent a lot of time terraforming already, so might as well properly grade this. We're gonna pick the lowest point here and then drag it down. Perfect. So I'm thinking a nice industrial area here. The reason why is because if we go to industrial zone, we can see the wind direction, and the wind direction is always pointing this way. So we want to make sure the least amount of pollution is going towards our city, and obviously if we put our industrial here, all the pollution is going to be blown towards the mountains, which is what we want. So we graded that. Let's stretch the road down. Perfect. So this is going to be our industry, and I'd imagine in the future we'll put down a nice big train station here for our industry, but I like this. Not too bad of an elevation, to be honest. Very, very different mod support in this game now. We don't have Steam Workshop, which is kind of disappointing, not gonna lie. I was very, very disheartened, to say the least, when I heard the news. Paradox did promise a nice alternative. Whether to trust them or not, I guess we'll find out once Paradox mods actually becomes available. I don't think it is yet. Okay, so this little embankment that I made here, it will come in handy a little bit later. I'll show you why I did it. But before we do that, let's start making a nice little grid. So we are building a North American type city, so obviously we will have a lot of grids. That's just how it goes. The most important thing when starting a grid is what I learned very recently. You have to establish the size of the grid and kind of standardize it. I tested a lot of different sizes, and I decided that the best one, at least looks-wise, is when we go 88 deep. So we're going to establish our first intersection here. There is absolutely no way to remove this missing zoning tile here, so I'm not even going to bother. 88 deep and 168 wide. This is what I want. Boom. This is the size that I'm going to standardize for our grid, and we're going to see how it's going to work. I'm hoping that it's going to work fine, but I did, from my testing, like this size the most. So we're going to keep doing this, and I'll get back to you once we fill out a nice big grid. So, now that we have this down, I just want to grid out industrial zone as well and put in all of our utilities, and then we will be ready to start populating our city. So let's get to gridding out our industry. Okay, we have our industry kind of gridded out here. The next two things is electricity and water. As you can see, they're highlighted, which means we need to do them in order for our citizens to be happy. So the first thing I'm going to do is put down our electricity. Now, the way this is done is now slightly different in Cities 2. We have three options right off the bat. We have a coal power plant, we have wind turbine, and we have transformer station. So coal power plant, very, very high pollution. I don't really want to put it into the city just yet. Wind turbines, probably not the greatest option. We don't really have any hills in the tiles that we have unlocked. So I think the best option for the beginning would be to place a little transformer station. So how this works is we simply plop it somewhere here, and then we just hook it up to our existing power lines, which means we will be importing electricity for the time being, which means we have to pay for it. So this is going to eat into our money, of course, but I think that this is the cleanest and the best way to do it in the beginning, especially on the map like this. So we are going to start with a nice little transformer station. Look at this, so pretty. I love the more modern / contemporary / realistic look of the assets in Cities 2. It's something that is radically different than the first game, and I love it a lot. One thing you might have noticed, everything's under the road. Electricity, water, sewage, all of this is built into the roads. The only exception is highways. As you can see, highways don't carry that stuff, but there are also ways around it. This is beautiful. I don't have to deal with pipes, and I don't have to deal with electricity, power lines. This is amazing. It's super realistic too. Let's figure out our water situation. So again, three options here. Water pumping station, which is your regular water pumper that you put on the river or a lake or an ocean. And we now have an option of a groundwater pumping station. So, as you can see, there's pockets of water inland. Kind of wild, isn't it? We are going to put a little water station here. Now, you might be thinking, isn't this a residential zone? Yes, it is. Is it a problem? I don't think so, actually. We're gonna put it here. I think it's a sweet little asset. It's a bit industrial looking, but as you can probably see by clicking on this asset, there is very low noise pollution and there is 0% air pollution, which means the citizens living next to this will probably not be super unhappy. So I'm gonna put this here just because we have a pocket. Actually, maybe not here, because I just realized the best place is possibly here, but I think this will do us just fine in the beginning. So these water pockets, as you might imagine, are not endless. We will eventually pump all of this up, and we will have to relocate, but for the time being, like I said, it's going to be fine. Sewage outlet is the exact same thing as Cities 1. We can just plop one somewhere here. It's going to unload our poop into the river, which kind of sucks. But for the time being, it's going to have to be. Let's connect this up to here, and to connect it to our existing framework. Boom. That's it. Water, sewage, electricity, all sorted. We are ready to zone. So, let's get to zoning. As I said, I wanted to dedicate this primarily to residential, so we are going to do just that. We are going to leave some space for services. So we're maybe going to leave some space here. Maybe actually here. We can put like parking or something. And maybe here. And I kind of like this for now. As for commercial, we don't really have a demand for commercial, so let's just hit play with our residential growing up and see how the city grows up. Let's do it. First time pressing play in Cities 2. How amazing is this? Now, it is kind of comical that low residential housing requires these massive cranes, 7-story cranes, to build them. But it is what it is. So one thing I noticed immediately is it takes a very long time for these things to get built. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if that's by design. While we're at it, we see more demand rising. We have demand for commercial zone and industry. So let's quickly do that. Let's press pause. Commercial is gonna go right here. And I don't even want to think about it. Let's just put it in. maybe let's fill out this whole thing. I feel like that's going to be more or less appropriate. And as for our industry, same thing. Fill all of this in. But I think that's going to do us just fine. Let's hit play once again. Immediately we see stuff growing up. Okay, I don't like this. We're going to remove you. I hope... Actually, we can fix this by just doing this. Cool. So we see businesses like popping up here on Chirper, telling people that they're open now, which is kind of cool. But yeah, once again, let's kind of wait for this stuff to grow up. Maybe I'll zone some more. Maybe some stuff here. We do want to be wary of like a much bigger scale education facilities that are going to get unlocked in a bit. So we're going to leave some bigger empty lots in our residential areas. But yeah, let's wait for these cranes to do their jobs. They are very, very slow. But yeah, let's jump into a little time lapse. All right. While we were waiting, we just unlocked the first milestone, Tiny Village. Officially, that is what we are. A very, very tiny village. Look at us. Look at us. All this stuff has grown up. These nice, realistic looking lots. Not a lot of trees, which is something that I'm noticing right off the bat. Not sure how to make a nice bushy areas. Maybe just leave like couple of units in between houses and just plant trees. Maybe, you know, something like this. Again, the collision meshes of these trees is kind of ridiculous, but I like this. Nice looking realistic houses. Little yards. The detail in the graphical like department is outstanding. Compared to Cities 1, this is insane. Look at these houses. These are so nice. Hello. What are you doing, Julia Farley? Just standing there? Cool. Idling. Sick. Is this a little pool? Totally is. Very nice. Oh, I see a lot of people have pools. This one's fancy. Alright, so this is growing up. We once again have more demand for residential. So let's keep at it. What is this? Waiting for a hearse. Okay, okay. So we just unlocked, as a tiny village, a couple of new things. So let's kind of study this. We've unlocked a bunch of roads, healthcare, which is a big new thing we have to take care of right now, and garbage management, which is another thing we have to take care of, along with some more money, which is nice, some more map tiles, and some more things like medium density, for example, which is super exciting. We do have a new demand bar here, which is a medium density residential demand, which is something we are going to take care of in a second. First, let's take care of our healthcare situation. So, when it comes to healthcare, we have two tabs, healthcare, deathcare, very similar to the first game. Deathcare, we only have unlocked a cemetery, which is an absolute giant asset. Look at this chunker. Oh my goodness. Huge. We're gonna put this here because I think this is a nice place for it. Again, love how much more realistic this cemetery looks than the one in Cities 1. There's a nice big facility in the middle and a whole bunch of graves all around, acting as sort of like a park actually. So, you know, not a lot of people want to live next to a cemetery, but personally, I wouldn't mind. So, very, very quiet. A bit of dark humor. Eternal peace, some could say. Anyways, let's also place another piece of our medical facility, which is going to be our medical clinic. So, similarly to Cities 1, we have a red road indicator saying that these roads don't have service. And once we plop this down, we will have service. So I'm gonna put our medical facility. I think the corner would be nice here, actually. Is this nice? This is super nice. These assets, wow, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. one thing I want to do immediately is we have things like alleyways, which means we can drag a road around the back. Look at that. That's so nice. And now there's like realistic access to the back of the building. Ah, love this game. I love this game. I'm gonna be honest. I tried it out earlier today and I hated it because it was so different to what I was used to. But I'm loving it. I'm loving what we have so far. Cool. So we have sorted our medical facilities. Let's now jump onto recycling, which is just gonna be your good old landfill. So for landfill, once again, we want to make sure we're not polluting air. And I kind of ran out of tiles that I want to do it in. So we are going to buy some new tiles. I'm going to buy this one, and we have one more tile that we can unlock. Let's unlock this one so that we have a bigger square to work with. We might as well keep expanding this way. Once again, for landfill, I do want a flat terrain. So once again, we will take to our level terrain tool, establish our height, and just kind of chomp away at this terrain. I know, it's not realistic. Whatever. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to show you. I made this nice embankment for the residential area. It's pretty cool. A nice view of factories and mountains in the back. Cool. Let's put our landfill down. So this is another huge asset. I want to make sure it's not too close to our residential. So we're going to place it. Actually, I kind of want to place it on its own road. We're going to keep bringing the arterial forward. Let's reestablish this because it's a bit finicky. So we're going to bring out our alleyway just like so. And now let's just place our recycling tucked away in the corner here. Perfect. I like this. This is sweet. So the landfills have also changed. We now have something called area tool. Ooh, what is this? Well, check this out. Isn't this insane? This is the same tool we're going to be using for farming and districts, but this is absolutely ridiculous. So cool. Now, once again, these guys are not going to have the best view. It's going to be literally a landfill in front of the mountains, but we're going to have to make do for now. Once we unlock more areas, we will find a better suitable place for garbage like this. But it's gonna be just fine for now. Let's expand our road network. We will reconnect our grid right here. Just make sure it's 90 degrees. Perfection. Cool, and then our alleyway can go back into here. Awesome. This is really, really awesome. Sick. So, let's press play. What do we have now? A bunch of medium density residential demand. So this is going to be the last thing we do today. I wanted to introduce some row houses. Very North American looking row houses that we will have here in a second. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to just stretch it out like so. And let's see how this grows up. Let's see how much more we need to zone to reduce the demand. It's already, as you can see, in real time, very, very dynamic, going down, which I really like. And actually, I think that's what we zoned is enough, because the demand is almost gone. So let's fast forward and see how these row houses look. All right, so there are a couple of row houses still getting built, but check this out. Oh my goodness, this is awesome. I really love how this looks. Really cool looking assets. Ah, people walking in and out. these cool porches, and then we of course have nice long backyards. Oh, this is really something. So I'm not sure about this frame actually, because over here we don't really have space for anything. We have two tiles here, so maybe we will rethink this. Actually, while we're at it, let's just do exactly that. Wow, we have so much demand that it grows up immediately. Okay, we're gonna eliminate some zoning here. And we're gonna come back to this. We're gonna circle back to this in episode number 2. I also just realized that I recorded the whole episode without game sounds, so I'm sorry for that. Cool, so let's kind of recap what we've done today. We've built our initial road frame. We've made our initial grids with some nice looking commercial. Let's just appreciate the look of these assets. Absolutely ridiculous. Almost meat. Whatever that means. A nice little gas station in the back. Love it. There's something getting built here still. Fresh pots. Another almost meat store. Cool. Seems like a big franchise. Really into this. Small town USA vibe. We're gonna be looking more into this in the next episode. Again, not entirely happy with how this grew up just yet. So we do need to kind of include stuff in the back, maybe an alleyway going through. But again, this is going to be for the future. We also built a nice big landfill, a nice big residential industrial zone. And I think that's where we're going to end it today. Again, I didn't really like this game immediately when it came out and I started playing. In fact, I kind of hated it. But I'm growing accustomed to it. There's a lot of issues with it. Don't get me wrong. There is a lot of issues with Cities Skylines 2. It is a very, very rough start. I don't remember how the launch was for Cities 1, but it wasn't nearly as poorly received as this is. Again, the game is currently sitting at mostly negative reviews on Steam, which I think is deserved. The game has very, very poor performance optimization. It is a very demanding game. But I think there is a very good game somewhere inside here. And I'm going to try and find it in this series. But this was the state of Sherborne. We have started our city. Let me know in the comments any ideas, any kind of name for this particular town, and what we should do in episode number 2. But I will get back to you in a week with some more City Skylines. City Skylines 2, actually. So I'll see you then. Thank you so much for watching. Love you all. Subscribe, and goodbye.